This is going to be a big trial, and it's going to be a hard trial. Alex Murdaugh is accused of shooting his wife and his youngest son to death. Scene was grisly. Doesn't make a lot of sense. There's tons of speculation surrounding him on other matters as well. But it's all about this one matter and these 12 people in the alternates. Jury selection today. The judge banned cameras in the courtroom for this portion of the trial. But one of the attorneys close to the case had a front row seat, and he joins us now. Counselor Eric Bland, in court today, attorney for the family of Murdaugh's dead housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield. Now, they say that Murdaugh, separate from this case, stole more than $4 million in insurance money from them after she died. And in some way that Bland is about to explain, it may matter to prosecutors when it comes to development of motive. It's good to have you, Counselor. What did you make of the setting and the scene?
It was surreal, Chris. The circus began today. And as you know, picking a jury is tedious and slow. And in this particular case, of the 900 summons that were sent out and the jurors that showed up today, a good portion of them were doing their best not to be seated on a jury that's going to have a trial for 5 weeks before even deliberations begin. So
how did you see that? How did you see people trying to duck it?
Well, they talked, there was a lot of single parents, there was a lot of sole proprietors who said that they couldn't be away from their business for that long, a lot of mothers who said they have to pick their kids up from school, elderly people who have health care issues. It was just one reason after another that would have prevented them from being seated on the jury. Some had convictions. Some people had already served on a jury. So it was a slow, tedious process. I think, Chris, it's going to take about 3 days to finally get a jury. And it's going to be a jury of Alex's peers. May not look like the rest of society. I think it's going to look like a lot of what Hampton County looks like in that area of the state.
It's about 50-50 racially, right?
Jurors that have never heard. No, there was not a lot of African Americans that I saw in the jury pool, believe it or not. And I don't think you're going to have 12 jurors who never heard of Alex Murdaugh. In fact, when they asked the question, has anybody heard of Alex Murdaugh, almost the entire courtroom raised their hands. And today, with this kind of technology, we almost don't want people who never heard of Alex Murdaugh. There almost would be, people that we would consider strange. But the theory of the state's case, Chris, is that the financial crimes that Alex committed over the previous 10 years before the lives of Maggie and Paul were taken, the state believes constituted pressure, an increase of pressure, and pressure breaks pipes or it makes diamonds. And so in this particular case, they said the pressure culminated on June 7th, causing the lives of Paul and Maggie to be taken. I, for one, think that that's a tough sell. I think that the circumstantial evidence is a tough sell. Dick Harpootlian, the defense lawyer, is a wily attorney. I mean, this is a guy that is experienced going up against a prosecutor who's good, who's dogged, who's tenacious, but does not have Dick's level of experience. It's almost like a first-round draft
especially on homicides.
Who's now playing in the NBA. Yeah, playing in the NBA, going one-on-one against LeBron James. Even though LeBron is 38 years old, Chris, he still scores 34 a game. And I think there's a lot left in Dick Harpootlian's tank.
Yeah, and the prosecutor is a very savvy guy, but he's a financial crimes guy, which I understand because of all the penumbra of different things that they see, as satellites in the constellation of Murdaugh's misdeeds. But this is a homicide case, and it's going to be tailored pretty specifically.
And if the court,
go ahead. Last point to you.
Right, and if the court does not let in all of this previous financial crimes, then you're left with the sterile facts that existed on June 7th. And I think Harpootlian and Griffin are going to say that there were 2 shooters and not 1. I think they're going to poke a lot of holes in the scientific evidence, in the blood spatter. I do think, though, Chris, that evidence is going to come in. I do think that those experts are going to be able to testify. But I think the judge is going to tell Harpootlian, That is the subject of cross-examination. It goes to the credibility. You're welcome to impeach them on, but I don't think he's going to deny the state the ability to bring in that blood evidence or those experts.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.